coaching session with my chat on stream. Come learn with us. www.twitch.tv/dieashes. All right. All right, so we'll start with We'll start with Revelations. I can't talk. Revelations question, and then we'll kind of turn that into your question, PJ City. So, is there a way I can full screen this? I think it's F11. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there we go. That's better for you guys. You guys can see that pretty well. Let me turn down my music a tiny bit so I'm not combating with it. Okay, so Gnasher effectiveness and how to use it properly. Gnasher effectiveness. Alright, right? So sorry. I'm OCD about some things. Okay, so when it comes to the Gnasher, right? We've all experienced those moments where the game just screws us, right? Like you hit someone like point blank range, they don't die. That kind of ridiculous crap. One of the biggest issues that I see is people rely too much on their Gnashers and not enough on their other weapons, like their Lancer, like their pistol. So one of my theories for Gears of War, right? And this is something that I preach to all the teams that I work with, is that there's a law, and most of you have heard me talk about this before, but for argument's sake, there's like a law of Gears of War, right? Just like there's a law of physics, laws of physics, right? So when you have laws of physics, right, like we know what gravity is, and we know that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Things like that are your laws of physics, your laws of just the world, right? For Gears of War, you have those same laws. Because when you think about it, like video games come down to numbers, and they come down to sorry, I just got an idea about a pen thing, and I want to see if it shows up on stream, because I wanted to use this before. No, it doesn't show up on stream. Okay. Oh, great. Now how do I close out of it? There we go. So you have your laws of Gears of War, right? What are the laws of Gears of War? Like, what would you guys say the laws of Gears of War are, right? You have that if bullet from gun hits person, it will do damage, right? So bullets landed equal damage, right? We know that's a law of Gears of War. We know that pressing certain buttons will initiate certain commands, right? Pressing button, or we'll say user input equals commands, right? Like, we know these things are true. So we have to focus on, like, if you want to play in my theory properly, you have to focus on using what we know are laws of Gears of War and abusing those laws, right? So we can't say that shotgun shot equals damage, right? We can't say that, because the way the shotgun works is it shoots that spread. I need something to draw with. That's the problem here. But we know shotgun shots shoot a spread. It like sprays bullets over a wall, right? And there's different variables that kind of go into like what makes those bullets land or don't land, right? Your connection, your movement, where that player is, where you aim, if you L trigger or don't L trigger, like all those things play in factors into whether that shotgun shot's going to land, right? So like saying that your shotgun shot is going to do damage because you think it's going to do damage, it's not reliable. However, your pistol bullets and your Lancer bullets are guaranteed because each bullet has its own factor, right? Like a shotgun. Okay, Here, let me get paint open so I can draw this out. I want this to be a new window capture though. So add window capture paint. Unlucky. Alright, you guys can't see me now. Move down, and whatever. Okay, so think about a shotgun spread, right? Let's divide this up, right? So if you have a shotgun spread, you're gonna have, you know, something. It makes kind of like a star from what I've seen. Like you're gonna have something like that, right? Like that's shotgun. Shotgun. All right, so that's your shotgun. It's gonna make a spread like that. Where if you Lancer, pistol, right? There's gonna be an accurate, like each bullet is going to land in a much closer area, right? If you ever stop and just Lancer a wall, bullets are going to land much more condensed, where your shotgun is going to have this area, you know, between. That doesn't really help. Shotgun. Hey, Fatal Strike, thank you so much for the follow, man. Your shotgun spread is going to have this spread to it, right? So like when you have a person, like I'm going to draw the person. Rawr. Here's your bad guy. Here's your locust, right? And you put this shotgun spread over top of him, you think you hit him full on, right? Like you hit him, there's your center of your shot, you're hitting him right in the heart, so you've got this bullet hitting, but what are these bullets doing, right? Like you've got, in this example, you've got 1, 2, 3 bullets of that shotgun spread that are missing. But on your screen, all you see is that you hit him because you see the blood come from these 3 bullets. And, hey, Baller, thank you so much for the follow, man. You see the blood come from these 3 bullets. I'll wait till the notification's done. Thank you so much, man. Welcome to the stream. You see the blood rather come from these 3 bullets, and you assume that you landed your shot, right? You assume that they're full red. Realistically, what people don't notice in that split second is that you've got 1, 2, 3 shots that have missed, right? Like let's say 50% of your shot actually didn't hit them. So like when you think you land that full chunk on somebody and you're like, oh my god, why didn't that kill them, why didn't that chunk them? If you go back and watch the video, like 90% of the time you'll notice that your shots hit somewhere in the background. So like this means that there is an inconsistency with the shotgun, which means you cannot rely on the shotgun. Hello, color change. Can't rely on shotgun. But if you have that same example and you're lancering, all right, ignore these because it's hard to draw with paint. You're lancering this locust person, even if you're hitting them in that same spot where I put that first bullet up here on the shoulder. That's not even quite, to be fair. Your bullets, even with the spray, which is not nearly as bad as something like CSGO, one of these bullets isn't hitting, right? So your damage that you see yourself doing is going to be more consistent to what you're actually doing, whereas your shotgun, what you see is not always what you are doing. Does that make sense? So, and same thing for a pistol, right? Because a pistol is just a slower version of the Lancer, depending on who's shooting it. The pistol is like basically like a 1-to-1 ratio of if you hit, you will do damage, because it's based off of your ability to shoot it, right? Like the Lancer, you hold it down, you shoot your bullets, right? But the pistol, you could literally hit every single shot. I'm gonna do different colors in the exact same spot. Like right there, 4 pistol bullets, you can see the different colors are all landing in the same spot, right? So if you have that same stick figure, or okay, I have to. It looks like high distortion. Oh man. So you, here, let me put it in that same corner. You have your pistol bullets hitting right there. First pistol bullet hits, second pistol bullet hits, third pistol bullet hits, fourth pistol bullet hits. It comes down to your ability to shoot fast and aim accurately, right? That's why pistols seem to do so much damage that people don't expect. And it's consistent. Like when you're shooting somebody with a pistol, it's going to consistently do damage. It doesn't rely on connection and location as much as shotgun does and Lancer does. So just by the way the game is designed, your pistol and your Lancer are going to be your most accurate weapons. So when it comes to what we were talking about with why is my... There we go. So when it comes down to using the Gnasher effectively, relying on it isn't really the effective choice, right? Like relying on your Gnasher to do the damage that you need it to do isn't always the best option. Whereas if you could position yourself to cross, like with a Lancer or with a pistol, you're guaranteeing more damage. Now that being said, like there are times where you're gonna have to pull out the shotgun, right? Like Clocktower, for example, right? On Clocktower, if you down somebody online, the person in host pocket should pull out the shotgun so they can hard aim. And the reason for that is at that range, you can do more damage instantly if you hit your shot. That's kind of like the risk with the shotgun is if the shotgun does hit, it's going to do more damage at a closer range. The damage falls off at a longer range, but you know, that's why. So like if you have secondary crossing with pistol, guy in host pocket with the shotgun, you're going to be able to get that second down right when the guy gets revived. So there are times where you can choose to use your Gnasher, but relying on your Gnasher, like pushing that 1v1 kind of thing when you don't need to, is where it becomes ineffective, right? So like to effectively use your Gnasher, in my opinion, in the way I believe the game works, you need to evaluate the situation, right? So let's say you're in a 4-on-4, right? Nobody's died, and we'll use canals for example, right? So let's get canals open. I don't think I have anything that I need to hide on this. Oh, oops. I need to open it with paint. Right? So here's canals. So let's say you're in a situation where you have 4-on-4, right? So team 1 has, or where should we? Okay, so we have like one guy high side, and a guy here, and a guy here, and a guy snipe bridge. So that's a common setup, and we'll do the same setup for Cog. All right, so that's our setup, right? If you think, like, let's say this guy, your sniper, rotates high side, right? And now you have a 2v1 because their sniper rotates low side, right? So now you know when you have two people now high side that you can make this push and force a 2v1, right? So you have that 2v1 battle, right? If you run at him with shotguns, you're increasing your risk of losing that 2v1. Whereas if you play the angles and play for the crosses, you're increasing your chance of making that a successful play. Now, you may say, like, you may argue with, well, we have to force him with shotguns, otherwise he's just going to run away. Maybe, all right? Like, it depends on how people play. If this person, the red locust, whatever, chooses to run, then are you chasing him, or do you have it set up so this guy's looking through this direction and this guy has taken mid-bridge and then is lancering this direction? because he's going to get pinched into that corner. And then if he's pinched into that corner, this guy can then move up. So it's like, how do you play out the situations, right? If you run at him with a shotgun, though, you know 100% that if both players, what? Come on, stop. If both players run at him with shotgun, there's a chance for him to hit that one shot over the wall, or there's a chance for him to get it one shot down, or something like that. You're relying on laws of Gears of War, like we talked about, that are inconsistent, right? So the shotgun shot that you shoot might hit him differently than you think, and the shotgun shot that he shoots might hit him exactly how he thinks, and you could get one shot. Whereas if you're sitting back, you're effectively forcing a 2v1 with two guns hitting him at the same time that are both more consistent weapons than the shotgun. And you can kind of see this a little bit during Season 2. There was like a long period of time where if you watch Toy Soldier, he would use his pistol in close range fights rather than his shotgun, because he can shoot his pistol fast and accurately when blind firing it. So he would strafe and shoot his pistol in a shotgun fight and down you, because the shotgun he just knows is inconsistent. I mean, I don't know if he was thinking this, but it's smart because the shotgun's going to be inconsistent, whereas the pistol is going to be consistent, right? So I'm not saying that you should run up to him point blank and pistol him. I'm saying that playing the angles and playing it intelligently is going to be more effective than not playing the angles and shooting just pushing him with shotguns. You're increasing a risk that you don't need to take. If any of you watched the match last night where we played Envy on GB, right? How many times did we win shotgun fights that we shouldn't have on canals, and like they clutched 2v4s and stuff like that because of the way Envy played it? So that was a perfect example. But yeah, so I guess in conclusion of Gnasher effectiveness, the Gnasher is effective in situations where you need to the risk of missing the shot does not outweigh the need for the damage, right? Like if you're getting pushed in a 2v1, right, and like both people are within a close range, like here, I'll clear. Okay, so if you're getting pushed in a 2v1, you're on this barrier, and the two locusts are pushing you, they're like here and here. Obviously having your pistol out or your lancer out isn't going to help you. Now, if they started off here and here, and this guy pushed up, pistol the shit out of him. But be ready to switch to your shotgun and hit this guy when he pushes up. Yeah, I know my chat is a gambling hall, but as long as they're having fun, I'm not going to complain. So that's kind of where, that's like the situation that you need to think of for yourself is so evaluate the situation. Is the risk percentage of missing greater than or less than the need for damage? That's basic. Oh, I put risk. That's like the key part of a shotgun, right? Evaluating that need, that risk. So carrying that in the wall bouncing, which was the second part of that, I believe. Wall bouncing is a form of movement, and I don't think... I've talked about this a few times, right? Like, wall bouncing and strafing are your main two forms of movement, right? So, here. Wall bouncing. I don't think it's one word, is it? I think you're supposed to come coach my squad, or it's been discussed. Depends on who you are. MCH2OZ. I'm not sure. Maybe? Okay, so wall bouncing, right? Like, wall bouncing is a really effective way of movement. Effective movement. This comes down to personal preference, right? Preference of wall. I'm gonna do WB versus strafe. Tactical gaming. I've worked with some of tactical gaming, or I've worked with the coach of tactical gaming briefly, and I think I'm working with McPiggy at some point, but Sergeant McPiggy. But I don't know about the entire org. I've never been contacted about that, at least not that I'm aware of. So wall bouncing is a preference, like the movement thing when in a shotgun fight. It's a personal preference thing. Like, some players choose to strafe and like strafe exclusively, and they do well, right? Other players choose the wall bounce very rapidly. They do well. Some players do a mixture of both. The key points of wall bouncing, I would say, are be unpredictable, right? Like, don't do the same thing every time. Like, don't wall bounce down a hallway and expect like them not to expect you to do that the next time, right? Don't try to wall bounce to walls too far away. I know that sounds like really obvious, I guess is the best word, but when you go to wall bounce to a wall really far away, right? Like, think of what you have to do when you wall bounce. You look at a wall, slide to it. You look at a wall, slide to it, right? When you look at that wall, you are basically telling a good player, hey, I'm gonna slide to cover on that wall, right? So if you'll watch like the like top 3 or 4 teams, those players, if they see you do that, like they know you're wall bouncing and they see you look to that wall, they're gonna look to that wall rather than aiming you or trying to follow you as you move. So what's gonna end up happening is, rather than, you know, like them having to land the target on you, they're gonna see he's gonna wall bounce that wall, I'm gonna aim at that wall, right? And when you land on that wall, that's when they shoot you. It happens to me on my stream all the time. When like I play against the more experienced people in King of the Hill and stuff. Like, it's not just a pro player thing. It's players who understand and think about wall bouncing. You can predict wall bouncing. So again, be unpredictable, and I guess don't broadcast. Oh. Don't broadcast your moves, right? Don't look to the wall that's far away and slide to it, or because like the further away the wall is, the further away the wall is, the better chance there is of them predicting it, right? Because you're just increasing the time from where you start the animation to where you end the animation, right? Of the cover slide. So what ends up happening is they see it, right? And then they have more time to process it and react and aim at the cover. So if you're gonna wall bounce, try to keep it short, like maybe the distance of like 2 body lengths, and rapid. But don't exclusively wall bounce. Like, don't just do that every time, because people are gonna expect you to do it. The other thing people don't think about is you can melee as you're sliding to a wall. So like, if you are wall bouncing and you're in like a situation like where you need to win a 1v1 because the guy's coming behind you, like, don't be afraid to. It's the same thing as weapon sliding, right? Like, here's my controller. If you slide your finger when you're wall mounting, slide your finger across B and A. Well, that's B and A for me, but whatever your you know, your slide to cover button is, then you'll melee, but the animation won't really happen, but you'll still do the melee. Like, the command's still input, and the action will still take place in the game, but you'll be canceling the animation by sliding to a wall. So you can like melee past somebody as you're sliding to a wall, and then they'll get stunned, and then you can shoot them. Which is something you might see Mental do occasionally. He's like one of the people who does it a lot. Can't you wall bounce without looking at the wall? You can if you have omnidirectional on, but there's a higher risk of rolling, because the directional inputs with this game are very finicky when it comes to wall bouncing without looking at the wall. And a lot of players like to play with Omni off. I play with Omni on, but a lot of players like to play with Omni off. And you use alternate. Yeah, alternate is good. Alternate and playing Claw or having like a Scuff or an Xbox Elite controller are all good things to do to push to your peak, right? Like, how do you counter a strat where a team runs bottom on Clocktower? Because that's a problem when we run a base strat. When you mean they... Okay, so clarify for me, when you say they run bottom on Clocktower, are they running like 4 low, or are they running 3 low, 2 low? Are they playing for nades? Are they playing for boom? Like, give me a little bit more information and I can help you. I'm like chewing on this can because it's like the drink is so good. Let me load up Clocktower. 2 top, 2 bottom. All right, that's easy. Let's paint. Good old paint. Or 1 top, 3 bottom. All right, we'll kind of, we won't specify it too much. Actually, I kind of need to specify. All right, the one I see pro teams doing. Oh, what am I drinking? Mountain Dew Black Label. Best Mountain Dew flavor there is. All right, we'll talk about a 2-2 because that's the one I kind of see the most. All right, let's draw this up. All right, so in a good 2-2, I need something to play with in my hand while I think. Otherwise, I look like an artist. In a good 2-2, you have person here, person here. Is that color seeable? I'm not a fan of it. All right, we're gonna use red. You have person here, person here. Still kind of hard to see. Oh well. And then typically they're going for nades in a 2-2, right? We call it a nade strat. So you have one person jumping into nades, one person right here, and let's see, the other team runs the base strat, right? So here, 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 and one person low, right? All right. So the first important part is to make sure, so your team is orange team, right? I'm assuming that you guys are running some sort of base strat with 2 up top, or 2 on line, 1 on back pillar. So the first important part of this is this guy, right? His job is going to be to call out what the other team is doing. That's kind of like the default on this map. He's the first line of communication, the first line of warning, whatever you want to call it. So if you think about what he has to do, right, he's going to see these 2 people head down low. So he is going to be able to say, they're doing a low strat, there's 2 low, or there's 3 low, or whatever the case may be. We're gonna, in this instance, it's 2 low, right? So he calls out 2 low. So off the beginning, we know 2 low, right? That's the first call out. Second call out is going to be, they're playing where, like the 2, because we've only seen 2 people, right? So there's going to be 2 people that we don't know where they are, and we need to identify where they are, or at least have an idea of where they are so we can make a play safely. So the next call out is going to be where this guy and this guy are. That's going to be hard sometimes because of the smokes that get thrown a lot of times, like especially at top tier play. But if you don't see them online, you know they're not here, right? Like you can kind of do it. A lot of people, like, they stress so much over if they actually see the person, right? But you don't have to actually see the person. You can figure it out by process of elimination whether the risk is there or not. So let's say these 2 guys are hiding, right? Like the 2 guys, the guy back pillar on red and the guy back jail on red. If you eliminate that they're not online, they're not, that color's ass. Let's do blue. If you eliminate that they're not online, they're not on pillar, they're not on Hammerburst Bag, they're not on these stairs, and this guy doesn't see them anywhere down low over, you know, in this area that he can see, that kind of eliminates that they have to either be behind back jail, behind back pillar, or somewhere in their spawn, right? Like, where they're irrelevant. So your play can then be called out. Like, we now know roughly where they're going to be, even if we don't see them. Now, realistically, you'll probably get a glimpse of somebody at some point, like a shadow moving through smoke or something like that. But you know, that's not the point, I guess. So, hold on one second. Okay. So we know that 2 are down low. We know that our play for pushing or for sniper is safe, right? Now, you have to keep in mind that the other team is probably going to want you to do sniper, like a sniper push, or they're going to expect you to do a sniper push. So you have to be kind of like aware of that and keep that in mind. Which is also, again, going to be communication on that guy down low. Like, it's going to be really important that he stays on top. Now, he can either stay down there and watch, or he can rotate up top. It depends on how you want to play this out. If they're taking low control, you want to be taking high control, right? So this means that you're going to be wanting to have your players push, right? And realistically, probably bring this guy up top too. Because what's going to happen is, once this play, you're going to force these guys on their team down the stairs, and you're going to take up top control. So what the new setup is going to be is, rather than having that, I can't. Can I erase, or am I going to erase the picture too? I'm going to erase the picture too. God. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Too low. So, instead of the dividing line of this map being, you know, something like that, you know how like a map gets divided? So like that's the standard dividing line, right? You're now dividing the map like this, right? Because what your setup is going to be when you force those 2 guys down low is you're now going to have control of here, 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 something like that, right? You can have top control, and they're going to be stuck down low, right? So they're going to have like a guy nades, and the guy maybe here, and maybe one guy's like trying to get boom, and you've got a guy like over here, something like that, right? It's good, depending on the team, depending on the strategy, what they're trying to run. That's all variables I can't really account for. But essentially, you've got like this division now from high side and low side rather than just across the middle. All right. From here, you have basically 2 important things you have to keep in mind. 1, boom shot is going to be a more threatening weapon than the sniper is going to be. So you have to make sure that if they pick up boom shot, you guys are watching that for the down, or you're applying a threat to boom shot so that they can't pick it up. As long as you're applying that threat, what our team does is we try to rotate and take down low, right? Because essentially, we've got a power weapon and they've got nades. And nades can maybe be more effective than sniper, but realistically, it's easier to dodge nades than it is to dodge a sniper bullet. Even if the sniper is aiming for a headshot and they hit a body shot, that's still fine. So, most teams, when they run a nade strat, are going to try to retake top, or they're going to try to use the nades to help top, or they're not going to give up top like that. They're going to rotate a 3rd guy up top. So, assuming that they do that, assuming that they don't give up top, and that they have this 3rd guy come up, and now nades is right here, and you guys are trying to push, so you're like here, and here, and here, and here, and you guys are trying to push. Geo2415, thank you so much for the follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Greatly appreciate it. Man, drink. Like water. So assuming that you guys are trying to make that push, right, and they rotate that guy up top, you're gonna have nades probably be thrown at you something like this, or something like this, or even from here into jail, right? Those are typically the nade spots depending on like where the callouts are. So if they're holding up top, which is what most teams kind of do when they run this, they don't reverse. I mean, they don't push down low. Is take sniper and leave, right? Once you have sniper, there is no need for up top because your next objective is, I can't point at my computer screen, I'm an idiot. Your next objective is this. Like that's what you want, right? That's gonna win you that round, is getting that, theoretically, is gonna win you that round getting boom shot. So if you take up top, you take sniper, leave, and play for the boom shot. Because that's gonna be your ace, right? So when you make that rotation out with sniper, typically you can leave one person back pillar, one person right here, and then two people go into boom, right? Let's just say like this right now. Sniper should almost always go into boom, give or take the situation, but a sniper in that boom area is gonna basically secure a pickup. Because they can't cross you. With a sniper aiming at you, you can't stand up and cross. There's that one glitch spot that's like in this area, but realistically, like even that won't be enough to down the guy when he can get revived back by the sniper. So you've got a guy to revive the guy picking up boom if he does get crossed through glitches, and you've got sniper pressuring the other team so they can't pick it up. What teams will typically do is they'll push across to try to pick off this guy. This guy needs to know that he needs to... Hey, shit. Zoroix? Thank you so much for the follow, man. I greatly appreciate it. If I mispronounce your name, I am very sorry. Welcome to the stream. This guy back pillar needs to play for his life. He needs to understand that his job is no longer to create, like, kills. His job is to create pressure and to be annoying. So he can be, like, if there's a guy doing this glitch here in this host pocket, he can be like Zoro. That works. All right, man. I'll call you Zoro. He can be lancering that guy, right? Applying pressure. But he needs to understand that his job is to stay alive and just be annoying. So he can leave. If they take your host pocket, there's an angle from here that he can then shoot host pocket from. So like he needs to be mobile and annoying. Meanwhile, you've gotten boom. You're rotating out. You group as 4 people, right? 4 people, and you push. You want to retake control of top. Usually in that push is when you're going to pick up kills, because let's adjust the setups here, right? Okay, so now they've taken like here and there and like maybe there, right? And you guys are in a situation where you're like here, and you've maybe got this guy rotated back here, and here, and like here. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You want to be grouped. The main thing is you want to be 4. And you want these 4 to push together up these stairs. And the reason for this is the more of you there are, like in this situation, right? Like these guys are cut off, right? Like they're by themselves. So you have a 4-on-2, and you have boom shot, and you have sniper. And you know, what do they have? Like maybe nades? They probably use them when they retook up top. So most teams don't hold on to nades. Like I don't think I've ever seen a team hold on to nades that long. So even if they have nades, call that out and be aware of it. So you guys can like pressure them. Plus this guy back here can actually hit that. So like if he crosses and puts damage into that guy, you know, he crosses like this, and he says, okay, the guy in jail is full red, then these guys can start pushing, and he comes up around behind, you know, backing them up. When you up, like, the distance for these people to take top is shorter than the distance for this guy to run back to his side, right? So the time it takes to make that push, he can't get there safely. Like, you could easily launch a boom and hit that wall and down him if he's running down sniper alley. I mean, obviously, you have to be smart with your boom shots, but the risk is still there. Like, if they don't run down that sniper alley, they're running out in the open, which means they're easy to be crossed. And you have sniper, and you have boom shot. So if you take up top control, then what do they have? They could rotate back down low, but you have sniper and boom shot. You can pick them off easily. there's no power weapons down low. Nades might be spawning in the next 30 seconds, but what are nades going to do against the boom shot and the sniper if you play smart? So that's kind of the rotation you want to make. You want to, when you take up top control, like, you want to have your objective, right? This is a big thing that I talk about a lot. You have your objective, your short-term objective, you have your long-term objective, and you have like basically a series of short-term objectives to get to that long-term objective, right? So close out of this, don't save. All right, so like objectives, right? So like long-term, bullet. Yes, I am, Nismo. What's up, man? How are you doing? All right, so long-term objective, right? Long-term objective equals win round, obviously. Like, we all trying to win the round, right? So short-term equals get boom, or get sniper, right? On Clocktower. Then it's rotate to boom. Then it's secure boom. Then it's retake top. Then it's usually by that point they're all dead, but like you see kind of like the point here. Like, all of these are taking steps to get to this long-term objective, right? So your long-term objective, you can take these steps. Use boom to get kills / map control. You can use these tools, right? These short-term objectives to reach that long-term objective. What's up, Raymond Batista J? How you doing, man? Appreciate you stopping by the stream. So hopefully that makes sense. It's like, it's really hard to talk about like what to do in strategies, because there's like people do. This is Clocktower. Clocktower. There. Sorry about that. So like, it's hard to talk about a certain strategy because there's so many variables. Like, there's that one player who like doesn't rotate fast enough and he dies, right? And that's good for you. Like, if it's on the other team, obviously that's good for you. The key thing is making sure that your team knows what your objectives are, right? So like, you can set up with your team, go into a King of the Hill game and go, okay, if we see 2 up top and 2 down low, we're going to push top, we're going to take top control and take sniper, or like take sniper control. We're then going to immediately fall back and we're going to retake low. And as, 3, basically, you leave one guy at back pillar, or however you want to play it. Your team can adjust however you want. And then we're going to take boom shot, and then we're going to rotate out of boom shot, and then we're going to re-push up top, and then, see what happens. Maybe you need to make that next step. Like, oh, well, the other team did this. What do we do now? Like, but at least you've got like a plan of action, and I don't think I've ever seen to get past that retake top stage. Usually by that point, 1 or 2 people die, right? And then your series of events isn't for a 4-on-4, it's for a 4-on-2, which is so much easier to win. Like, right? It's like, as long as you don't divide up and let people fight 1v1s, you're good. So, and this plays for every map, right? Like, it works on every single map having that game plan. Like, you can have your base strategy if you're 3-1 on Clocktower. Your objectives are still going to be the same, right? So, unless it's like, let's say on Clocktower where you do a 2-2, right? Then your strategy is to get the nades, right? So you're adding a step in. Like, when you run a 2-2, right? Like, you're adding one objective in. You're going get nades, right? And then use nades to take top, or take snipe. And then, proceed through the steps. So, hopefully that helps. This is common sense. Do you know about bouncing takes more damage? What about smokes? I'm not sure what you mean. Can you clarify a little bit? And yeah, this might be common sense for some people, but some people don't truly don't, understand this. And honestly, a lot of teams don't execute well. They're not on the same page at all. What is the purpose of smoking out the battlefield, right? I don't know why I said right. Smoking out the battlefield. I've seen lots of pro teams that do that, especially on Clocktower versus Night. All right, so where's my overhead? Let's see. Open with paint. All right, so picture this this setup, right? Your base setup is what the hell? Base setup here, 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 right? Here, 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 right? You've got a matched layout, right? If you have no smokes, you have a clear line of sight on anybody on the map, right? If this guy, back pillar, makes a push up here so that he can then cross these guys can see him very easily. I don't have another pink. These guys can see him the entire time he's making that play and cross him, right? He has no cover, he has no protection. So think about when you play Gears of War, right? I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. Think about when you play Gears of War. The more comfortable you are when you're playing, the better you're gonna play, right? That comes down to everything from your seating, your audio, your teammates, like if you're familiar with them or if you're not familiar with them, how hot or how cold it is. You know, like if you get nervous easily and you're in a pressure situation, all of that plays into how you play the game, right? You're gonna play better the more comfortable you are. That's why I like that whole thing about being pressured on LAN and players playing poorly because they're on LAN for the first time. Like that is a thing because it makes them uncomfortable, right? So watch Envy stream sometime, right? Like watch Fran stream and you'll hear the players say, like after they lose a round or something, I was mad uncomfortable that round, right? So basically what they're saying is like that round, they were in a situation they were unfamiliar with. So if you are in a situation, right, where you have clear vision, you're comfortable, you know a better idea of what you need to do. You can see everything that's going on, you don't feel pressured, right? But like let's say you're this guy back pillar, right? We're gonna pretend that you are this guy. This is you. Hi, nice to meet you, Mr. Back Pillar player. Right? So, and I'm gonna use green to show smoke grenades. So, let's say they throw a smoke grenade right here. Right? Now you can't see that vision, right? You have no vision of what they're doing down this alley. Oops, that's the same color. There we go. You have no vision of what's going on through here. So like you have no idea if this guy's pushed up. You have no idea if he's now on mid pillar. You can't see. You have to rely on your teammates. That's going to make you uncomfortable. Same thing with your guys online, right? If there's a smoke grenade thrown, where's that color again? If there's a smoke grenade thrown right here, like, or two smokes, I guess, because the size of that oval that I just made, they can't see what their guy on secondary is doing as easily, right? So if he rotates over, oh, what did I do? Oh, I changed the color, rip. All right, so that brush. This, if this guy rotates over, you can't see that as easily, right? You're gonna be uncomfortable. You can't make that call out, and that's gonna make your team more vulnerable because everybody has their job. Everybody has the job of watching their player, of communicating what they see, of making accurate call outs, almost more than just like randomly communicating. You need to make sure it's accurate. You need to make sure that your guy is on secondary and full red, or he's not on secondary. You know what I mean? Like if he moves off a secondary and he's pushing down middle, if he comes around like this and flanks this guy back pillar because they have a smoke there and then they have a smoke like here, this guy, you, the back pillar player, gets jumped and you had no call outs and you're so busy watching down back alley because of this smoke. What are you gonna do, right? So that's kind of the point of smoke grenades. It's to block vision and to make people uncomfortable. It's to pose that threat that behind that wall of vision loss, something could be happening that you don't know about. So when you throw a smoke grenade on the Clocktower, that's essentially what you're doing. And another great example is Mansion. And I hope my computer didn't freeze. It's just my file explorer. Come on, there we go. What the hell? Sometimes Denial does 3 smokes up top on secondary host and back pillar and rips heads. Covers your teammates. Yeah, that's all accurate. For example, if enemy takes sniper and you are fighting, boom, throw a smoke between sniper guy and your team so you can... Exactly, right? Like, all those things are essential. Think about Mansion, though, right? On Mansion, there's a strategy. I know it's kind of hard for, like, watching this outside thing, but there's a strategy, right? Like, if you think about what most teams run, it's something like a guy here, a guy here, a guy here, and a guy here or here, right? These two are interchangeable. There are teams who will run like basically a sit back track at boom. So instead of playing up on I, they'll have a guy here and maybe like a guy here, and then their guy mid plays back more, so he plays like hop up or something, and then they have their guy mirroring inside. So let's just take that scenario, right? If you go to... yeah, okay. So if you go to pick up boom, right? Like you go to push like that, you can now be crossed by this guy, and this guy. You're more than likely not getting out of that. And then if you're getting crossed like that, they can push and take you out, right? Like you get downed, unless your teammate's really good at reviving you and your guy mid. Johnny Boy 56, thank you so much for the follow, man. I greatly appreciate it, as always. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, like that cross, you can just get downed out, right? Or they could push you. They could fly at you after you get down twice or something like that, you know what I mean? So if you don't have smokes, that's the key thing. If you throw a smoke, we'll use purple in this scenario. So purple and purple. If you throw a smoke right here, why was it not filled? Filled, right? Now their line of sight, and you have a smoke like right here, their line of sights are basically all blocked. I mean, this was a bad line. Their line of sights are all blocked, right? So now they can't cross you, right? If you, before you even push, you throw those smoke. Shaden Wells, thank you so much for the follow, man. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. So when you block off that vision, right, they're pressured, right? They have to make a play. They either have to give up boom, like just say, screw this, we're out, or they need to push up, right? So when you throw that smoke, their line of visions are no longer viable. They have to make some kind of push up. So normally teams will be forced, unlucky. Normally teams will be forced to take I, right? I don't know why I drew that line. And this guy will be forced to maybe push up a little bit too, depending on what happens, right? So like now they've moved out of their initial setup, they've moved out of their plan, and they're in a situation where they're uncomfortable because they're sitting in a smoke, their vision was affected, they had to leave their original strategy of just sitting back at boom because they were risking just giving up the boom shot. Hey Schizo, thank you so much for the follow, man. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. I hope you guys are learning. I hope this is helpful. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in chat, by the way. So, all because of that smoke grenade, you've forced them out of their original strategy, you've created that uncomfortability, and you're pressuring them to do something that they don't want to do. Same thing on every map. I know I have 5 red X's. I said when I drew them, like, these two guys could be the same person, effectively. Because, like, you don't know whether that guy is going inside or outside. So, I mean, we'll just pretend that we'll pretend that the one doesn't exist. Like, this is the one. Oh, shit. This is the one to worry about. But my point is still the same. Like, with the smokes outside. I'm all out of Mountain Dew, boys. It's a bad day. Switching to water. And yes, I use a McDonald's cup. McDonald's cups are amazing. You guys don't understand. The sweet tea cups, the big foam cups, they're perfect for water. They don't have condensation on the sides that cause all that unnecessary wetness and shit that you don't want. It's perfect. Whole lot of water. Drinking through a straw is way much more fun than anything. Normal. In terms of playing passive against Boom on maps like Gridlock, Mansion, and Clocktower, how can we play effective enough to result in a win? In terms of playing passive against Boom on maps like Gridlock, Mansion, and Clocktower, how can we play effective enough to result in a win? I just had this discussion with my guys last night, actually, after their match versus Envy. When it comes to playing passive on maps like that, we'll use Gridlock for an example, because that's what we were talking about last night. Let me open Gridlock. Paint. What's a good range of alright, real quick, I'm gonna answer this one. What's a good range of sensitivity? Sensitivity to 100% depends on you, Sneaky Time. I play on 26, 24, 24 as my 3 sensitivities. Lava plays on like 28, I think, something like that, or maybe 30, 28, 28, something like that, something ridiculous. Crushmo plays on all 12s. So, like, it really just depends on, like, what you personally... Or, no, he plays on all 17s, I think. Crushmo plays on all 17s, I think. So, it depends on you, man. Go into games, like, go into public matches, and just test different sensitivities until you feel, like, ones that feel comfortable for you. They don't all have to be consistent numbers. Like I said, mine's 26 or 27 and then 24, 24. I know some players who change them. Like Gilbert will change his sensitivities if he's missing shots. Like if he's doing well and he wants quick movement, like if he knows that we're going to play a map more aggressively, he plays on higher sensitivities for quicker movement and stuff. If he knows his spot is going to be more defensive that map, he'll sometimes lower his sensitivity because he needs to focus on hitting those L triggers. So, you know, toy around with it and explore it. It's hard to recommend. I think most pros play between 20 and 30, but, you know, it's up to you. It does depend on if you claw and if you have paddles for, like, a, you know, a Scuff or Elite. So, yeah. Boom shot, right? Playing defensive against boom shot. I talked about this. I think I've talked about this on... when did I talk about this? I talked about this last night, I know, but I talked about this on one of my coaching sessions. When you play like, let's say you play a snipe strat, right? Like that fallback, we call it Hudson strat, like where you pick up sniper and you run to your hammer burst and like the round goes on way longer than it ever should. The same thing that happened to us at season 2 finals against Notorious. So, like, typically, red team's going to have boom shot in this example, right? Actually, let me start off by saying Gridlock divides in half. Every map divides in half, right? Gridlock divides in half, typically like this. I'm sorry that the line is kind of curved, right? That's the dividing line of Gridlock, right? So, when you have that dividing line... Typically, teams own, theoretically, one side of that line, right? So you have red team owns all of this, and you have blue team who owns, that's a bad blue, I like this blue better, owns all of this, right? So that's how the map divides out. Like when you spawn, that is how the map works. Now, when you pick up Sniper, blue team's going to pick up Sniper in this case, and you fall back, typically there's a setup of like Sniper and one person in Hammer Burst and one person somewhere in Garden, and I don't give a shit where the last guy is here or something like that. Typically you have a setup something like that, right? This guy is a variable. He can be a bunch of different places. And then the other team will have a setup of something like here and here and here and here. And this guy actually moves up in the tower when you fall out of tower, so I'm going to put him up here in tower, right? Now, I showed you guys the controls, right? Like, from the start, you know, I showed you guys what the controls, what that green line is like the line of scrimmage. So I showed you guys that, right? I showed you red team controls one half, blue team controls the other half, right? Now in this setup, we've got boomshot, right? Red team's got boomshot, blue team's got sniper. But look at the line of scrimmage, right? Look how it's changed. The line doesn't go down the middle anymore because there's no blue players up close to that line. So if we draw it compared to the closest blue players, that's how much, by getting boomshot and running those different strats, that's how much space the red team has gained, right? They now own all of this. Right? Blue has no control over that area. It's now red's control, because if blue pushes up into that area, there's a risk of getting boomed. That's why they set up. They fall back and they set up, and they pray to God that their sniper does something like Mental or Franchise does, or Icy does. Right? That's the issue with the sniper strat for me, is when you give up boomshot control, you give up map control. There's no instance, unless he gets like a cheeky headshot, which in a perfect world, that's not going to happen, right? If both teams are equal and the sniper is average, he's not like, you know, on point or something that day, you like the consistencies, if you rely on the consistencies, giving up boomshot gives up what, 1/4, 1/5 of the map by giving up this space to the other team. So now orange, I'm gonna redraw I can't redraw our green line, shit. So you give up that space, right? Look at what else. Oops, I should probably draw that line back. You give up that space. Now look what you don't have control of anymore. You don't have control of boomshot, don't have control of nades, and you don't have control of sniper, right? So none of the power weapons other than hammer burst, which isn't a power weapon, so take that out of the equation. None of the power weapons on this map you have control of anymore. Absolutely none. Zero. Nothing. But your strat, you got sniper. But there's no pressure on the other team, right? They're playing comfortably, like we talked about before. So they have comfortability, they have map control, and they have all three power weapons whenever they want them. Now, yeah, sniper can aim at the dude and he can't pick up boomshot because sniper's aiming. Who cares? Because sniper can't aim at all of them at the same time. All you need is boomshot to launch a boom at the sniper at the same time that you slide all the weapons at the same time. Like if you watch season 1 finals, season 2 finals rather, what we did against Notorious, I took boomshot from here to here. Me and Lava switched, right? And then I moved boomshot into tower. And then I helped. I mean, there was obviously a double kill there, but then we had snipe control. So we picked up the new sniper. We ended up killing 2 people, so like they were done for, and there was nothing left that they could do, right? So that was like a relatively easy round win just because we had boomshot and they had sniper. Yes, you traded a power weapon each, but the boomshot is more like a cattle prod. You can control where people move, right? Like, get rid of these circles, right? If boomshot pushes, like let's say there's a smoke for some reason that sniper doesn't shoot, right? And boomshot pushes out of tower and down this way. What are these 2 blue X's going to do? They're going to rotate, right? They're going to get the hell out of dodge and they're going to run this way. More than likely that way, right? So now, because boomshot is moved, boomshot doesn't even have to shoot a shot. Boomshot just moves that direction. These people run away because it's essentially run away or die, right? So now these 2 guys, now this map control, right? We can redraw this map control with purple line is now this, right? So now red owns all of this. You see what I mean? You can use the weapons to pressure people out of positions and get control of the map, which is one of those short-term objectives we talked about. Oh, I didn't put it in here. Retake top. Well, it's in retake top. Oops. But you take map control, right? So, to that original question, wherever it went, in terms of playing passive against Boom on maps like Gridlock, playing passive should never be, unless like you're down and out kind of thing, you don't typically want to run a passive strat off the start. Like, you want your strategy to be CSF. Thank you for watching and hanging out, man. Rigged. Your preference should be to control the more important power weapon. Think about... let's see. How do I want to say this? Think about the momentum of the game too, right? Like, let's say you're on Gridlock, you keep colliding, you keep fighting for boom, you're losing rounds, and you're down 2-0, you're down 3-0, the other team's riding that high because now they're winning, they're beating you, they're slapping you, they're stomping you, whatever, they're talking trash, they're hyped up. Look at that kind of scenario, right? Like, maybe in that instance, you want to slow down the game, right? Like, you want them to, like, be ice the kicker, kind of, so to speak. So you want to grab sniper, rotate back, and just pause out. Maybe go for a stalemate, right? Because what that's going to do is that's going to force them to make a play to close it out, or it's going to force the round to stalemate, and they might slow down. Their momentum, their hype might kind of calm down, or somebody might make a mistake when they're pushing, and they might lose that round. You know what I mean? That's something that we do sometimes. Is like, you'll see if we go down 0-2, 0-3, we'll run a snipe strat, and we'll try to slow down the round a little bit. And there's not really anything you can do to counter a snipe strat unless, like, you try to fight us at sniper. But typically, like, that's not what teams are doing. Like, if they're doing one thing successfully, they like doing the same thing or variations of that same thing over and over again. I know I've missed a lot in the chat. Let me catch up on that real quick. Playing alternate is worth it. I would have done it sooner when I started this game. Yeah, I feel the same way, man. Original Biff. I definitely wish I played alternate. What's up, Gator? How you doing, man? Yeah, I understand, but do you wall bounce and shoot every... Oh, let's see. I missed something. How can I stop being garbage at wall bouncing? I'll wall bounce into your shot. But do you wall bounce and shoot every time you hit walls? Not if I don't have a good shot lined up. Right, I gotcha. Problem with having a good shot on someone is that they usually have the same on you. Like you mentioned, wall bouncing into someone's shot. Probably go 4-point, try to get away and get down. Oh, if I get down on open shots, I don't bounce. Gotcha. Obviously they're going to shoot, but if you're quick and they'll panic, shoot behind, besides them. Corner, back A's. Gotcha. Hey, what's up, JP? Do no pro players play tournament? No number? What do you mean, Schizo? Play tournament like tournament controls? I think some do. I think some players play with tournament controls. Or tournament control scheme, whatever. Most players play with scuffs, or they play with Xbox Elite controllers, or they play claw. Excuse me. And that's how you're going to reach like that optimal level, right? Like people who play claw or who play with scuffs or play with Xbox Elite controllers are going to have better movement simply because they can do more actions at once, right? Like if I'm playing standard, I'm gonna show you my controller, right? If I'm playing standard and I want to like let's use the reaction shot example, right? Like to do a reaction shot, like when you're sliding into cover, you have to spin your controller around while back A-ing, so down on this joystick and back A-ing to still get yourself to theoretically up A around the cover while also, you know, spinning your character and shooting, right? I can't do that because my thumb controls this joystick and my buttons, right? So I can't move my aim and hit A at the same time. I'm like doing things on my Xbox. Yeah, rip. So, but the players who play claw, right, they have their finger controlling these buttons, so they can spin themselves, moving this joystick, back A at the same time, and pull the trigger, right? So they have the ability to hit more button inputs at the same time, or like simultaneously, and thus can do more complex plays like that. Oh, I guess I don't need to put the controller over there. What about a scenario on Gridlock if you run a 2-2 strat with one on Elcar, one on wall of boom, two on snipe, and the other team is pushing boom aggressively? Let's open this up again. I'll try to do this kind of more quickly. If you have that kind of situation, where you have guy here, and 2 snipe, and they play what, like 3 heavy boom? Are we saying? We're assuming they're running like a 2 boom or something like that, maybe. What about a scenario? So like, what do you do in this scenario? Well, you need to understand that your objectives, right, or like your goals need to be defined, right? Are you getting sniper and rotating out? Are you still contesting boom? Is like your player from sniper recognizing that there's only one and rotating over, which is something that teams do? It depends on the callouts, right? If you have a 2-2, like 2 versus 2 at sniper, and you win it, you probably need to get sniper and rotate out. Because they're more than likely, like most pro teams, are just going to retake the tower when they see you pick up sniper, and they're going to try to force you out of tower. If you only have 1 at tower, you can probably hold control of it and have one guy snipe down this direction and the other guy watch this direction and hold it safely. The guys at Boomshot need to know, though, right? Like, the guys at Boomshot need to know what your strategy is. Anxiel? Anxiel? You're gonna have to help me out on how the pronunciation of that one. Anyways, thank you for following, man. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. You are going to have to, let these guys know we're holding tower, we're rotating out of tower, and they need to know if they're playing for their lives. Like, if there's 3 people coming, then they need to play for their lives. Like, they need to be prepared. Like, this guy needs to be prepared that he has to come back and in the tower, and this guy needs to be prepared to fall back to cars or, whatever the case may be. So it really depends on callouts and stuff like that, but you have to communicate with each other. Like, if it's a 2-on-2, like, you could let them fight that. If they're confident and they have the right hands, the other team is pushing into them, the other team is going to be at a disadvantage almost every time, right? As long as they're holding their shots and aiming correctly, working together correctly, then they should win that fight theoretically in a perfect world every time. But the big factors are going to be, is that 3rd person coming, or maybe that 4th person? Is it just a 2-on-2? Are your guys going to be crossing this direction? That's kind of what comes down to, is communication. One more thing, does gameplay really improve with playing on a monitor versus a TV? It's about the response time of the monitor. So most TVs have a longer response time than a monitor, but there are some monitors, like if you get a really cheap monitor off of Newegg or eBay or something like that, and it has like a 6 millisecond response time, you'll notice the difference between that and like my BenQ, which has a 1 millisecond response time. Basically, like, the lower the response time, it's the quicker there's a delay between everything, right? So like, when you do something on your controller, there's a very small fraction of a microsecond delay between when it happens on your controller and when it happens on your Xbox. Most people don't see that delay. And then when you're playing online, there's the delay between when your Xbox sends the command that, hey, he pulled right trigger, he's shooting, and your game on like whatever server you're connected to goes, hey, he shot the gun, right? So like, when you're lagging, that's why you'll see your shots like come out late, or like you'll see your character do the animation, but the bullets don't land, like don't register right away, right? So same thing like with your monitor. There's a slight delay between when your Xbox sends the visual and when your monitor shows the visual. The shorter that millisecond, however many milliseconds it is, the more accurate it feels, right? So like, when you're pulling your trigger, assuming that all those other variables are good, your connection and shit like that, the quicker it'll be. That's why they say, like, don't use any wireless equipment when you're gaming, right? Because the milliseconds actually do matter in most games. So like, if you're using a wireless mouse or a wireless headset, and your sound is slightly delayed, like, you hear a guy coming up behind you, but it's a little bit, like even a millisecond behind, and you're playing Counter-Strike, like, you're dead, right? You need to be able to sound whore like that. Gears of War doesn't matter as much. but for Gears of War, like the monitors, a lot of players prefer. As Dutchy said, hertz matter, right? That's the refresh rate of your monitor, right? The faster it updates its visuals and keeps processing that stuff. So the better the refresh rate. Like I think now is 144 megahertz or hertz is the top of the line, or one of the top of the line kind of things. So that is another important factor. The color spectrum can matter, right? The crisper the visuals are, the easier it is to see those defining lines and differentiating colors. So that's why you'll see one monitor has 80,000 colors per pixel or something like that. That means every pixel that is in that monitor can define 90,000 different colors. So when you have a locust who matches the color of the wall pretty closely, and you have a shitty monitor, it's gonna look harder to see him to find out, especially in games like Call of Duty, where people can blend in with shit all the time, compared to in Gears of War, where it's not maybe it could help, maybe it might not, depending on how dark and shit like that. So yeah, that's kind of what you're paying for when you're paying for monitors. All of those little factors you need to pay attention to. What series BenQ do you play with, Ashes? The RLH something, I think. Another cool thing about BenQs is they have a bunch of different settings for different games. So it's automatically adjusted for whatever game you're playing, RTS, FPS, stuff like that. My stream was dropping frames there for a second. Sorry, guys. Wired or wireless controller matter. Always go for wired if you have the choice. I'm using my SCUF I have to send in, but I'm using the Xbox controller with a SCUF cable. You're gonna have one, no batteries, which is cool, and two, the faster, theoretical, slightly faster response time, because you're not traveling over wireless signals. You're looking at the XL series. Yeah, BenQ makes really nice monitors. I have two BenQs. I have three monitors. I have a monitor that the webcam's on top of. It's a little cheap monitor. I only use Skype and stuff on that. I have this monitor as a BenQ, and I have this monitor as a BenQ. So this is my main gaming one, and then I keep other stuff over here, like web pages and streams and stuff like that. Yeah, that looks like the one I have, Dutchy. That looks very familiar to the one I have. And honestly, you can buy monitors refurbished and be fine. One of my monitors I bought refurbished because it's so much cheaper. And if you think about it, right? When you buy just a factory new, brand new monitor, you're theoretically playing a gamble, right? You're paying $250, $300 for a monitor that is pretty much never been touched by a human being, right? Theoretically. I don't think BenQs are made they're made in a factory, right? So assembly line shit like that. And this is true for a lot of products. You're theoretically buying something that's never been touched, right? Never been examined, never been inspected. They take one out of every 100 made, and they make sure that it's working properly, and then they, go along their merry way. If you buy a refurbished one, usually that one had some sort of issue. They brought it in, looked at it, a human being inspected it, fixed it, whatever the issue was, and certified it as working and properly, and then it's cheaper, by a lot. So I bought one of mine refurbished with one of those discount codes you see the gaming organizations have, or UMG has. So it was $90 for a BenQ monitor, just because it was refurbished. I'll take that. Ashes, is it the one with the black stand with the red highlight? Yes, it is. I actually have a second, or I have two stands and then one in my closet. I have three monitor stands because I sent one in to get fixed, and they sent me a new stand back with it. So I have an extra BenQ stand.